All right, so if you're a tattoo artist, barber, injector, photographer, coach, or any type of service-based business owner, and you're good at what you do, but your income still doesn't reflect how good you are, then this video is for you. See, maybe you're posting consistently, but it's not turning to clients. Or maybe you're getting inquiries, but they disappear when they hear the price list. Maybe you're making 5K, 10K, or even 20K a month, but you've hit a ceiling and can't figure out what's actually keeping you there. And here's what I want you to hear. You probably don't need to work harder. You probably need to get better at identifying what actually moves the needle. Because I learned that lesson the hard way, and the most expensive way, really. I'm a tattoo artist and business owner, and there was a point where I was doing about 16 to 18K months and thinking I was the shit, I was doing pretty fucking good. But today, I've built my business to months of over $70,000. I've stayed booked months in advance, and I've built an audience that consistently creates opportunity. And now, I've helped other service-based business owners start applying these same principles to their businesses. But here's the part I want you to understand. I didn't suddenly become 4 times better at tattooing. I became better at business, positioning, content, sales, and I even learned buyer psychology. I learned how to build systems instead of just working harder. And guys, looking back, there was a lot of shit I thought mattered that really didn't. So I started asking myself this: if everything disappeared tomorrow, see, like my followers or my reputation, clients, network, or even my money, and I had to rebuild from absolute zero, what would I actually focus on first? Not 50 things, not the same, not some bullshit 90-step business plan. There are just 5 things I'd bet my entire comeback on. And stay with me until number 5, because number 5 was actually the hardest lesson for me to learn. It required me spending money during a time when every instinct in my body was telling me to protect it. And that decision ended up changing my life. So whether you're trying to hit your first 10K month, or you're already making money and wondering why you're plateaued, here are the 5 things I built, and I built them in this order. All right, now let's get into it. Number 1, I would not start with the content. I'd actually start with the offer. And this is where I think a lot of business owners get it backwards. They'll tell me, Van, I need more clients. Okay, let's say I give you 100 leads tomorrow, then what? What should they choose you, right? And usually I hear some versions of, well, I'm really good at what I do. Well, that's cool. So are thousands of other people, right? That's not an offer, that's an expectation. So if I woke up tomorrow with 0 followers and 0 clients, before I made one reel, before I ran one ad, before I worry about my logo, I figure out 3 things. Who exactly am I helping? What painful problems am I solving? And what outcome do they actually want? Because one of the biggest shifts I ever made in the business was realizing that people don't buy services. They buy what they believe the service will do for them. Think about tattooing. My clients aren't paying thousands and thousands of dollars because they're dying to have somebody poke them with a needle for 8 hours, right? They're buying the sleeve they've pictured for years. They're buying confidence, they're buying trust, they're buying the ability to walk into a room and feel different about themselves. And they're buying certainty that this permanent decision is being handled by somebody they trust, right? Same thing with an injector. They're not buying a syringe, they're buying how they want to feel when they look in the mirror. A photographer's client isn't buying 100 JPEGs, they're buying memories. A mentorship client isn't buying Zoom calls with me, they're buying clarity, structure, accountability, growth, and hopefully a completely different business on the other side. See, the service is the vehicle. The outcome is what they're actually after. So look at your business. If your marketing is basically saying, here's what I do, here's what it costs, here's my availability, book now, you're making the customer figure out the value themselves. And that is your job. And remember this, stop selling what you do and start selling what changes because you did it. Get the offer right first, because more attention on the weak offer just means more people ignoring you. All right, number 2. I will learn to communicate value. See, this one might piss off some talented people, but being really fucking good at what you do does not guarantee you a successful business. I know insanely talented artists who struggle, and I've also watched people who aren't the most talented person in their market build incredible businesses. Why? Because being valuable and knowing how to communicate value are completely different skill sets. Artists especially love saying, my work should speak for itself. I used to understand that mentality, but now I don't think so. You need to learn how to speak for your work because your potential client's having an entire conversation in their head before they even message you. You know, questions such as, can I trust this person? Are they worth the money? Why are they more expensive? What if I regret this? And if your marketing isn't answering those questions, someone else's will. That's why if you took everything away from tomorrow, I still would not actually be at zero. You could take away my Instagram, my followers, my reputation, all my clients, but you can take away from what I've learned, right? I've learned positioning, storytelling, sales, copywriting, buyer psychology. Those are all rebuilt skills. And that's why I'm so obsessed with learning them, right? Because if I know how to create value and I know how to communicate that value, I can create demand again. And there's another important distinction here though. Hear me out. Learning buyer psychology doesn't mean learning how to manipulate people. I don't want somebody buying from me if they shouldn't, right? That's a nightmare client waiting to happen. I want the right person to understand this solves a problem I have, and that's it. So remember this, your income will eventually hit the ceiling of your ability to communicate your value. And once I know how to communicate, now I need people to hear it. Number 3 is where I would build trust before I build followers. This is where I would start creating content. But my goal would not be how fast I can get to the 10,000 follower mark. Instead, I would ask how quickly can I make the right 100 people trust me? Huge difference, right? Because social media has trained business owners to chase numbers that make them feel successful. Views, following, likes, going viral. But here's the thing, views don't automatically equal money. Right? Followers don't automatically equal clients. And attention without trust, it's just attention. I've seen people with huge audiences who can't monetize them, and I've also seen businesses with relatively small audiences make serious money. So if I'm rebuilding, I'm making content around 3 things. Number 1 would be education. I want to show you, I understand your problem. I'm going to give you something useful. I'm going to let you experience the way I think. But education alone isn't enough anymore because everybody educates. Which brings me to the second one, belief transformation. This is where most people are missing the game. I don't just want somebody to leave my content knowing something new. I want them thinking differently. Maybe you came into this video believing that you need more followers. I want you leaving believing I need more trust. Maybe you think I need to lower my prices to get more clients. I want you to realize this. Maybe your positioning isn't strong enough to support your price. Or maybe you think this, I need to become even better at my craft before I can make more money. Now, I want you to consider this. Maybe your craft isn't actually your bottleneck anymore. That's powerful content, right? Because information gets forgotten, beliefs change decisions. And then the third one, proof. Show me how it works. Client results, student results, testimonials, case studies, behind the scenes. Don't tell just everybody to trust you. Give them the reason to. Because if I started tomorrow with 0 followers, I'll be building a library of evidence. Imagine somebody discovers one of my videos, then they watch another and another and another, and then find my Instagram. They watch 5 reels, they see testimonials, they see results, they see how I think. 30 minutes later, that person's might feel like they know me for 6 months. And that's what social media can do. So remember this, content doesn't just create attention. Content compresses trust, and when you understand that, you stop asking, how do I go viral? Instead, you start asking, what does my ideal client need to believe before they're ready to buy? Now, number 4 is where I would start building a sales system before I ask for more leads. This is where shit gets funny, right? Because business owners will tell me this, I need more leads. But I look at what they're currently doing with their leads and I'm like, no, the fuck you don't. Because more leads poured into a broken sales process just creates more wasted leads. See, somebody finds you, right? They watch your content, they DM you, and then the response is, hey babe, what are you looking to get done? Then here goes my pricing. And now we're shocked they disappeared. There's no qualification, no structure, no follow-up. There's no objection handling, no process. So if I'm rebuilding, I'm mapping the entire customer journey. And then I'm looking for the leak. Say, if people aren't seeing my content, might be a distribution problem. If people are watching but they're not inquiring, that could be a messaging or offer problem. If people inquire and disappear at pricing, it could be positioning. If qualified prospects gets on a call but don't buy, now we may actually have a sales problem. Because one of the biggest mistakes business owners make is trying to fix the entire business instead of figuring out the bottleneck. And when it comes down to sales, there's only one single word I want you to remember, certainty. Think about the objections you hear, right? I need to think about it. I need to talk to my partner. That's more than I expected. Maybe later. I don't know if now's the right time. A lot of those objections have uncertainty underneath them. Uncertainty about you, the value, the outcome, or even about themselves. So if I'm selling, I'm not thinking, how do I convince the person? I'm thinking, what uncertainty hasn't been resolved? And ideally, I'm resolving most of it before the sales call. My content should be able to handle all the objections, the proof, the value, the trust, everything. So when somebody gets on the call with me, I'm not dragging them from 0 certainty to 100. They should already understand who I am and how I think. The call is just to confirm whether they're a good fit or not. So remember this, your sales call shouldn't create certainty from 0. It should confirm certainty you've already built. And when you get this right, sales feels like a lot less like selling. Number 5, this is the one I told you to stay for, because if I'm being completely transparent, this was one of the hardest beliefs for me to change. There was a point where I put what basically felt like my last dollar into mentorship, and every instinct in me could have said, keep the money, play it safe, figure it out yourself, wait until you make more. And waiting sounds responsible. Well, sometimes it is, but there's another version of waiting nobody talks about. Waiting can become very expensive because you can save $5,000 and stay stuck at the same revenue for another 2 years. So did you actually save money? That's when I started looking at investment differently. I could protect the money I currently had or invest into becoming the person capable of producing significantly more of it. And that decision changed my life because I realized there are 2 different ways to use my money. 1, you can use money to buy validation, or 2, you can use money to buy leverage. The watch, the car, the clothes, the shit that makes you look successful, that's validation. On the other end, knowledge, mentorship, systems, skills, anything that increases your capacity or gives you your time back, that's leverage. And one of the most valuable things money can buy is compression. Let's say there's a lesson that would take you 3 years to learn through trial and error, right? Months where you're wondering what the hell you're doing wrong. What would it be worth to compress those 3 years into 6 months? That's how I look at mentorship now. And hear me out, I get it. Everything's available online. You're literally watching me teach this for free. Information isn't scarce anymore. Implementation is. Feedback is. Accountability is. Knowing what applies to your business is. And most importantly, seeing the blind spots you can't see because you're standing inside the business. So if I'm rebuilding tomorrow, when the first money starts coming in, I'm not immediately upgrading my lifestyle. I'm upgrading the machine producing the money. Different levels requires different versions of you. So remember this, early money should buy leverage, not validation. And I'll take that one even further. Hear me out. The most expensive investment isn't always the one you make. Sometimes it's the one you keep postponing while the problem keeps costing you money. All right, now that you know the entire framework, so if you deleted everything tomorrow, this is the order I'm rebuilding. Number 1 is your offer. Create something people actually want. 2 is positioning. Learn how to communicate why it's valuable. 3 is content. Distribute that message and build trust. 4, sales. Turn trust into predictable revenue. 5 is leverage. Reinvest the revenue into increasing your capacity. And then run it again. Better offer, better positioning, better content, better sales, more leverage. And then run it again and again and again. Because that's what I wish somebody would have explained to me years ago. Business isn't just do these 5 things and you're done. It's finding the biggest constraint, fixing it, and discovering what the next constraint is. So before I let you go, here's what I want you to do. Before watching another business video, look at your current business and answer one question. What's my biggest bottleneck right now? Not 10, just 1. Is it your offer, your positioning, your content, your sales, or your capacity? Figure that out first, because consuming another 100 hours of information isn't going to save a business that refuses to solve the right problem. And if you're a service-based business owner and you like conversations like this, subscribe. I'm gonna keep on sharing a lot more business psychology, a lot of sales, positioning, and just lessons that I've learned building mine. And if you're sitting there thinking, I know I'm capable of more, I just don't know what my bottleneck is, well, DM me theory on Instagram at @VanimalCrackers. And listen, don't send me your life story. Just send me 2 numbers. What your business is doing per month right now and what you want to make per month. That gap tells me a lot. If I think I can help you with that, we'll talk. Until then, keep on building the offer, communicate the value, learn the process, create certainty, buy leverage, and then do it again.